Good Thursday morning, and thanks for joining us from the Ohio AgNet, voice you know with the news you trust studio, sponsored by Grain Equipment Company, where innovation meets execution. I'm Dusty Sonnenberg. Well, we had rain in the overnight hours. Right now, we're under partly cloudy skies. It is breezy outside with the temperature of 45 degrees on the barn thermometer. It has been falling steadily through the evening and overnight hours and will continue probably till about noon today. Now, even though today is the first official day of spring, it looks like the next week is going to feel more like March. A couple quick programming notes and calendar reminder. Tune in at midday today is powered by Soy Biodiesel. Dale is traveling down to Southern Ohio. He'll be at Farm Credit Mid-America's branch in Mount Orb. Also coming up, be sure to mark on your calendars a chance to attend the Ohio Safety Congress and Expo. That's hosted by the Ohio Bureau of Workers' Compensation at the Greater Columbus Convention Center, April 16th through the 18th. You can find the full schedule of events online at ohiosafetycongress.com. And the Ohio Soybean Council invites you to learn more about biodiesel and how this cleaner, efficient fuel boosts engine life, adds value to soybeans, and drives real savings for farmers. Visit soyohio.org for more. Well, let's check in now on our weekly update from the Ohio Soybean Council. I'm joined today by Brent Gatton, and he is Vice Chair of the United Soybean Board. Tell us a little bit about some of the neat things that excite you with that innovation.
Tell you what, it's amazing of what the foresight of a lot of the farmers. We are a board of 77 directors that make up the United Soybean Board that are split out across three different priority areas: innovation, technology, infrastructure, connectivity, and health and nutrition. And when I think about the innovation side of things, it's just amazing to me what all the checkoff's been able to invest in to be able to find the new uses for our product. So whenever I think about it, you look at anything from the partnership we have with Goodyear Tires, Skechers tennis shoes, Sinlon turf. I personally installed some Sinlon turf at my house, but put a little putting green in because we got to on a mission trip that we had to San Diego one time. We had a USB meeting there, and they took us and they were taking us to some high traffic areas at the San Diego Zoo. Well, they talked about that was such a neat product because that was a bio-based product and how it separated them from their competitors because they were actually one of the only companies in the United States that produces something like that. So when you look at that, that's great that we've had those type of partnerships. And now one of the main hot topics that we have right now is the soy foam that we're introducing. That doesn't have the forever chemicals that some of the other products that firefighters have been accustomed to, and we're really trying to make a good push out to educate the individuals about what soy foam is. It's a bio-based product that's actually going to eat up about 12 million bushels from U.S. producers.
Great information. My guest again today is Brent Gatton. He is currently serving as Vice Chair of the United Soybean Board. Today's update's been brought to you by the Ohio Soybean Board and your soybean checkoff. And to hear the rest of this interview, be sure to check out our featured audio section at ohioagnet.com. Well, let's get a look now at your Thursday morning weather forecast, brought to us by Seed Consultants. Simply better performance, online at seedconsultants.com.
We've got a very gray Thursday in front of us. I'm Chief Meteorologist Ryan Martin. Let's take a look at that Ohio forecast update. Rain started overnight last night. Here today, the system is trying to move off to the east. On the backside, we're seeing colder air come in, and we've also got a little moisture in that cold air still. So in northern tier counties, I'm going to say watch out for some sloppy, wet snowflakes, especially near Lake Erie. Outside of that, I don't think there's much today other than clouds and cold. We may start to clear out just a little bit overnight tonight on our way to a Friday that, in all cases, isn't too bad. I think we're going to be seeing some sunshine and some slightly warmer air for Friday. Do not get used to it. It doesn't stick around. Cooler air coming back overnight tomorrow night, right on through Saturday. Probably have to watch for some spits and sprinkles and flurries in there as well. Not a big amount of precipitation, but I'm more toward the sloppy, wet snowflake side of it than anything else, with most of the activity happening pre-dawn through Saturday. The rest of Saturday is mostly cloudy and cold. Sunday, we have a little bit of moisture that wants to come in midday and afternoon. Likely rain, but we are going to be seeing that moisture anywhere from a tenth to half an inch with coverage at 90% of the Buckeye State. Monday through Friday of next week then is cold. Cold Canadian air in here. Warm air is off to the west and south. That's going to create a battle that ends up triggering some on-again, off-again moisture through the week. Nothing huge, but we don't necessarily see a bright and sunny and dry full week. Once we get to the end of next week, we have multiple large-scale weather systems that are coming in as warm air comes in. It's going to be a very wet finish to the month of March. I'm meteorologist Ryan Martin.
Thanks, Ryan. Stay tuned. We'll be back with more after this.
Don't miss out on a huge inventory of trucks and heavy equipment coming up for bid in the Ritchie Brothers Great Lakes Regional Sales Event, March 27th and 28th. All of our vehicles and equipment are always available for you to browse and inspect before the sale, both in person and online, so you never miss a detail. Register online today so you can take part and get ready to bid on a variety of assets that include truck tractors, van trucks, van trailers, excavators, flatbed trailers, and so much more. Visit rbauction.com to learn more and get registered.
Hi, I'm Greg Peterson of the Peterson Farm Brothers. If you've seen our videos, you know we're proud to be farmers. Farming can be dangerous. Never assume location or depth of underground utilities or pipelines. Before you start any work on your farm, call 811 or visit clickbeforeyoudig.com to have underground lines located. It only takes a minute and can save your life.
Never assume the location or depth of underground lines. Always call 811 or visit clickbeforeyoudig.com before you start work. A message from the Pipeline Operators for Ag Safety campaign.
Taking a quick look at your agricultural headlines, since the time highly pathogenic avian influenza, or HPAI, first hit Ohio back in 2022, approximately 9.4 million chickens were depopulated from poultry farms between that time and Christmas of this past year in 2024. Now, in less than 3 months since Christmas, another 15.5 million birds have been depopulated. That, according to Brian Baldridge, Ohio Secretary of Agriculture. And as a result of this outbreak and the impact on Ohio's poultry industry, Governor Mike DeWine and Lieutenant Governor Jim Tressel have asked U.S. Department of Agriculture Secretary Brooke Rollins to support Ohio's poultry farmers by backdating the effective date of USDA's indemnification program. Now, Governor DeWine believes that this is vitally important to restore all premises impacted by avian flu in Ohio to provide enhanced support to the state's poultry producers. In his request, Governor DeWine noted that as it currently stands, of the 74 confirmed cases in the past 13 weeks, only 3 of those would qualify for compensation based on the current effective date. The request is to push that effective date earlier to restore full operation capabilities to poultry producers hit by the outbreak. Now, looking back on Tuesday, the Ohio Department of Agriculture released a proclamation regarding HPAI prohibiting the movement of all birds, including poultry, wild game birds, fancy poultry species, and exotic species from non-commercial premises, including public and private shows and exhibitions, sales, and all activities involving these birds in the counties of Darke, Mercer, Van Wert, Auglaize, Paulding, Putnam, Allen, Hardin, Logan, Shelby, Miami, Montgomery, and Preble counties, and this restriction will remain in effect until May 15th of this year. In other agricultural headlines, in the midst of a trade war on multiple fronts, it might not cover new ground, but the United States agriculture groups would like to protect traditional export markets while opening up some new ones. Agricultural groups on Wednesday championed National Ag Trade Day as part of the National Ag Week. The group of Farmers for Free Trade hosted a webinar examining the trade landscape. Now, Joseph Glauber, a former USDA chief economist and research fellow emeritus at the International Food Policy Research Institute, described the current situation facing farmers, quote, "To talk about a multi-front trade war is frankly quite disturbing for American agriculture." Darcy Vetter, principal at Sower Strategies, LLC, and a former chief agriculture negotiator at the Office of U.S. Trade Representative during the Obama administration, said the big date now is 2 weeks away, that's April 2nd, when the Trump administration is expected to place reciprocal tariffs on other countries. Vetter said she understood this would translate into creating a, quote, blended tariff rate for countries based on its overall tariffs and non-tariff barriers for U.S. goods. Of course, that may also invite retaliation, she said. Now, feed grains, oil, seeds, and meat products increasingly have relied on exports, and top markets have evolved over time, Glauber said. 3 countries in the middle of the current trade disputes, Canada, Mexico, and China, are also the 3 biggest markets for agricultural products. Now, Vetter pointed out the pork industry depends on pigs from Canada that may have been fed from U.S. corn before being sent south. Then pork could be exported back to Canada. I think people think of ag supply chains as being sort of simple and direct, but it's actually quite complex, she said. When the 2018 trade war broke out, China was the largest market for U.S. agricultural products. The first Trump administration responded by paying farmers $23 billion between 2018 and 19 to make up for those losses. Glauber said the situation led to distortions in planning decisions for producers. It was obviously very helpful to the industry to have that kind of compensation. The problem was that the challenge was how to put together a program without distorting production decisions, Glauber said. Now, China had 2 large years of agricultural buys in 2021, that at $32.8 billion, and that was followed by 2022 with $38.1 billion. But since then, China's imports from U.S. farmers has also slowed down. Brazil now has 70% of the Chinese soybean market, and the U.S. has 20%. So all the growth we've seen in China since then has been essentially enjoyed by Brazil, Glauber noted, adding roughly 11 million acres in Brazil have gone into production since that time.
You're not wired to have a response to this sound. You're neutral to it, and you can hear it repeatedly without feeling anything. But when we introduce a new stimulus, save the food, we've achieved pulling a natural or inborn response from you. Save the food, because 40% of all food in the US never gets eaten. Save the food. Cook it, store it, share it. Just don't waste it. For tips and recipes, visit SaveTheFood.com. Brought to you by NRDC and the Ad Council.
In any year, your best harvest is only a few upgrades away. Seed Consultants exclusively serves the Eastern Corn Belt, combining our deep knowledge of local conditions with high-performing products fit for your acres. Most importantly, our customized services put our products and your business in a position to succeed. We help you start with better to grow your best. Visit seedconsultants.com to learn why our products and services are simply better.
Let's take a look at what's impacting our markets. Today's market analysis is brought to you by the Louis Dreyfus Company. Excited to be building the newest state-of-the-art soybean crush facility in Upper Sandusky, Ohio. Phone 574-566-2113 for information on soybean marketing to LDC. Here's Ryan Martin.
Grain markets finishing the Wednesday period relatively boring. We were a little lower on beans, a little higher on corn, and the wheat markets took back some of what they had done previously, especially hard red winter wheat, down double digits. Spring wheat was only off a few pennies, as was Chicago wheat. What were the stories overall? Well, that's the big thing. There weren't many stories overall. It was just a choppy day in the grain trade. Snow did fall across the Central Plains, but it's being said that it's not really worth anything. I saw some pictures. Yes, there were some blizzard conditions out there. We were calling for several inches of snow accumulation in a wind-blown setup over parts of eastern Nebraska, north central, northeast Kansas, but we're also supposed to warm up very, very quickly, and the liquid equivalent of that snow was not strong enough to get anybody too super excited, especially given all of the winds. Moisture was probably 2 to 4/10 of an inch or less. Corn was uncovering some consumptive buying yesterday. Farmer cash corn selling shut down by low prices. That was the main story. Farmers are really looking for a chance at $5 a bushel for cash corn again, but with spring planting just a few weeks off, most are preparing fields and machinery and are not going to pay attention to marketing as much. That's definitely the case as we get into the end of next week. Traders are debating the quantity of Russian wheat that Iran purchased last week. Estimated totals are ranging from 300 to 600,000 metric tons for April and May shipment. The sale is said to be cheaper than the Russian exporter indications that came in at $250 a metric ton. So that means a landed price of basically $327 or $8.90 a bushel. Russian exporters are under quota to export wheat. Most Russian export tonnages are expected to dip to about 1.5 to 1.8 million metric tons a month. That means we may not see this wheat market get too super crazy anytime soon. I'm Ryan Martin.
Thanks, Ryan. Let's take a look at how your market's closed, brought to us by Seed Consultants. Simply better performance, online at seedconsultants.com. May corn closed up 3 1/4 cents, and July corn was up 1 1/4. May soybeans closed down 4 1/2 cents, and July soybeans were down a nickel. May Kansas City wheat closed down 11 1/2 cents, while May Chicago wheat was down 1 1/2, and May Minneapolis wheat ended the day down 2 1/4 cents. At the close on the livestock side, April live cattle were up $1.45 at $206.82 1/2 cents. June cattle closed up $1.85 at $202.85, and August cattle were up $1.37 1/2 at $200.07 1/2 cents. Now the hog market closed lower, with April hogs down $2.02 1/2 cents at $85.57 1/2. May hogs closed down $1.50 at $88.70, and June hogs were down 85 cents at $96.50. In the feeder cattle market, prices were higher. April feeder cattle closed the day on Wednesday with prices up $2.17 1/2 cents at $2.85 $286.72.5. May feeders closed up $2.25 at $287.50, and August feeders were up $2.45 at $291.90. Now, if we take a look at your overnight trade in the grain markets, prices are trending higher. May corn is up 3 1/4 cents at $4.65 1/4 cents. May soybeans up 3 1/4 cents at $10.11 1/2 cents, and wheat for July up 3 1/2 cents at $5.83 1/2. This is the Ohio AgNet.